India have not let slip of the Border Gavaskar Trophy for a decade. They now enter Sydney knowing they have to win if that run is to continue. If not, Australia and this generation of serial winners will get to finish their set of having won pretty much everything there is in cricket. Welcome to ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Sanjay Manjrekar joins us to build up to the last test of this enthralling Australian summer. Sanjay, thank you for your time. Will this
Thank you.
spectacle of a series get a showpiece sign off in Sydney?
I think so because India have been amazing. When you look at it, I mean, when you take a sort of macro view of the series, the kind of issues India had going to Australia, 3-0 loss at home, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli out of form, Mohammed Shami not available. We thought Rishabh Pant would be India's great savior. That hasn't happened as well, thanks to one rained off game. But India is still in the series, and that I think is something unexpected and something to admire and shows the fighting spirit of Indian cricket and the emergence of a couple of young, talent and the genius of Bumrah.
Hmm. There is so much on the line. You think not a lot can change in the 48 to 72 hours that have been there between Melbourne and Sydney, but the surround sound of the field has really increased. There's obviously the narrative of the stalwarts fraying. The pressure is mounting on the management to potentially take calls. We've heard Gautam Gambhir in the press conference on the eve of the test saying conversations within the dressing room should stay within the dressing room. It's not the ideal climate, is it? Heading into a game with so much riding into it.
And it's understandable because this is a very delicate time in Indian cricket, and it's something that visits Indian cricket every 7, 8 years, or maybe more. Let's to be precise, 13 years. Unlucky 13 number. 2011, India had the same problem, and we had the Fab Four and whatever three batters that were left, aging top class batters running out of four. And at that time, I remember Rohit Sharma and Ajinkya Rahane was sitting out. And currently, Shubman Gill is sitting out because they're waiting for the stalwarts to get some runs. So I'm sure some conversations would have happened. And if there had been conversations, some hard talk, I think it's right for that to happen. And Gautam Gambhir is also right that anything that is said in the dressing room has to remain in the dressing room. And if there's been some, inspiring speeches or there's been some kind of almost scolding, so be it. That's the job of the coach.
All right. They have a tough call to take for the future, but they do also have quite the dilemma as far as picking their 11 for Sydney goes. So let's just break it down. The first part of it, does Rohit Sharma still open, or do you want KL Rahul back at the top of the order?
I would ideally want KL Rahul back. KL Rahul is also a person that you've got to handle well. I mean, look at him, the kind of innings that he played at the start of the series, but then he's had those low scores, average of 34. So he has to be handled well temperamentally. And if he was doing so well at the top, it was wrong to, break that partnership at the top, but it was done. So maybe go back to that. And India clearly need a little more batting support purely because Pant is not contributing. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli's problems seem to be chronic despite Virat's 100. So India needs some batting support, and Shubman Gill should come back. And they felt a little, I think, not guilty, but maybe remorse that they left Gill out, and they need to strengthen their bowling as well. So maybe a little more purity in the bowling department and batting.
Okay, so just breaking that down. If Gill comes in and you want Rahul opening, where does Rohit Sharma bat?
Down the order. With a softer Kookaburra ball, I believe he'll have more of an opportunity to get runs. Nitish Kumar Reddy now plays as a pure batter because of the kind of depth that he showed. Before that 100, we wondered whether he'll be able to become the batting all-rounder. I think now he's reached that stage. Rohit Sharma hasn't shown too much keenness to go to spin, whatever the surface. And we had Washington Sundar bowling less than, I think, 10% or how much was it of the total bowling that we saw?
That's
Yeah,
Yeah, that's correct.
hardly
We bowled
anything.
19 overs and India bowled more
Hmm.
than 200 in Melbourne.
Yeah, so less than 10%. So clearly, Rohit Sharma is somebody who doesn't like to go to spin. Australia goes to Nathan Lyon no matter what. To get an additional seam bowler in, Harshit Rana likely to come back with Siraj and Bumrah being there. And then you have your, two spinners, or just have two seam bowlers with Nitish Reddy as your third seaming option. And if the pitch has something very obvious turn in it, then you play both the off spinner and Jadeja as well, considering that Sydney is not a drop in pitch. So it will have the inherent qualities of the years gone by.
Okay, so you're saying bolster the batting. Shubman Gill comes in, which means Rohit Sharma bats at 5 or 6 with Rishabh Pant. Then you have Reddy at 7, Jadeja at 8. Pick
Yeah,
between Washington Sundar or Harshit Rana now that Akash is missing this test. Bumrah and
yeah,
Siraj. If India were to
yes.
go with that two spin option, do you think that might be a bit extra burdening on Jasprit Bumrah, who's just bowled 50 plus overs and not had much of a turnaround?
That's a good point, and that is the reason maybe they might want to go one spinner short. But if the pitch at Sydney looks like it's definitely got plenty for the spinners, but I think what you're suggesting is likely to happen. We'll see seam support, and Rohit Sharma has shown his tendency to go to Jadeja more and not so much Washington Sundar. So that is likely to happen. But India need to get Gill back in because they have batting issues, and get a pure batter in, and get a pure bowler, seam bowler. An extra one in Harshit Rana will be fresh after missing a couple of matches.
So if I just ream through the headlines from your selections, Shubman Gill entering, which should mean the batters can heave a sigh of relief. There's greater batting
Mm.
depth. And additional pace support, as you say, which means Jasprit Bumrah can heave a sigh of relief. He's been shouldering the responsibility pretty much single handedly all through this
To be
Australian
honest,
summer.
I mean, he had the same kind of support in the last game as well because Akashdeep comes in place of, Harshit Rana comes in place of
That's fair.
Akashdeep, and Nitish Kumar Reddy becomes their fourth bowler. But he can be used just to give Bumrah a little more rest, and then you can have, your spinner in there.
Yeah, Jasprit Bumrah will enter this test having done pretty much everything. 30 wickets in 4 tests, a few more, and there will be a lot more records that he could potentially break in Sydney. But the individual worth focusing on, Sanjay, so much of the conversation has focused on Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, as it should. But India's one batting star from those last two test trips to Australia, Rishabh Pant, he's been quite quiet too. That needs to change for India to stand a chance of levelling the series.
Well, I was one of the guys who was shouting from the rooftop saying that Rishabh Pant will be India's, main player, and there will be one, if not two, game-changing innings from him because we saw those signs in the home series against New Zealand. So, yes, surprised and seemed like he's going through a phase of confusion. So much has been said about the way he gets out. My feeling is that you just got to look at Pant's success as a batter and failures as a batter. How he gets out is really not the right way to look at Rishabh Pant because he is enigmatic in many ways. He's just this kind of freak, brilliant player. And to expect him to get out in a nice fashion is just not fair. For example, when you look at Rahul's overall career, he averages 34. Rishabh Pant averages 42 despite this slump. We don't talk about how Rahul gets out because eventually it's about your contribution to the side. There is no nice way to get out. It's just something that we have been preconditioned to believe that this is a good way to get out. So if Pant is playing in a certain fashion, he's been out playing defensively 3 times as well. The only focus has to be and pressure on Pant. What's happening? You're not getting runs from you. You can't tell Pant to not play the shot start of the inning because there's a lot of those kind of shots that he's played at the start of what has been 100 for him or a 90 or a great 89 not out. So judge Pant by how much he's contributing. If his consistency is not there, then you've got to start, piling that pressure on Pant rather than saying, don't get out in this fashion.
All right. If we turn our attention towards Australia, they will be making one change as well. Mitchell Marsh, who's had a torrid time, is out. Bo Webster gets a debut. Uh, Points towards a slight amount of bravery from Australia as well, because you saw Sam Constas getting a debut in a high pressure Boxing Day test. Now, with the series on the line, another debutant, they're not afraid of making the changes.
And going against, sort of public perception, because when Nathan McSweeney was dropped, he had just played one very important innings at the top of the order with Labuschagne in that test match and was dropped the next one because I think what they're doing is they're visualizing what is likely to happen with a Nathan McSweeney in the next couple of test matches. And maybe, they felt that it might be wise because of his problems against Bumrah to have somebody else come in. And that worked in the first inning, and that had a huge bearing on the eventual result of the game. So with Mitchell Marsh, the way he was playing, they would have actually felt pretty sure that they wouldn't be able to see that kind of an improvement. I wish Indian selectors also thought like that. But we sort of tend to stick with players who have made a name for themselves, like Mitchell Marsh in the Ashes played really well, but these guys are taking some hard calls. So there isn't that long rope anymore for certain batters or just generally in that Australian team lineup. Yeah, we just have to be careful about the kind of English that we speak now that Webster is in the team.
Wow, I have to
Hmm.
applaud
I
you.
had to get
That's
that in because yeah, it's a bad one, but I mean, this is fun, right? This is cricket sports. You've got to have fun.
absolutely. This is what we live
Yeah.
for. This is what we do these shows for. Thank you so much, Sanjay Manjrekar.
Thank
Oh
you.
no, I can't thank you yet. I did have one more question. I forgot. Thanks to
Yeah, my
your
my humor is so great that people just get
forget
completely
what's going on.
mesmerized and forget their path. Yeah.
What to you are the most important facets which will decide the course of the Sydney Test?
A little more bowling support for Bumrah and Rohit Sharma. Maybe if Washington plays, use him like Australia do with Nathan Lyon. Just use him more as a bowler. There's too much reliance on seam, and India don't quite have the seam attack of the past. So that is one, uh, chain that India could bring in. But batting, again, it has to be the kind of recoveries that we saw from Australia with their batting lineup. If India can do that, we had one recovery with the Washi and Nitish Kumar Reddy, but still just a little more consistency with the bat. And the obvious one now is the three big guns: Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Rishabh Pant. It's, I think desperate times now for them, uh, one if not two, to play a big innings, and then Australia will continue to get India back in the game because of the way the batters play, and because India have Bumrah as well.
All right then. It's almost been like the story of every single test match. There has been consistency in that regard as far as this test series go. Let's see how the final chapter plays out. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Australia win here. They guarantee themselves a ticket in the World Test Championship final against South Africa at Lord's. India have to win to stay in contention, and after that, they have to hope for a lot else to go their way.